By the way, let's do the Vitality one for like bigger though. Like essentially, what do you think about like we're both assuming Vitality is going to get out of the group, right? Do you actually think they? Because for me, I think they're the only team that has a chance to beat G2 once we get to the best of fives, the next phase, obviously. Because the problem is it's the best of fives. Like some of these teams, like yeah, in this group, some of these teams we'll talk in a second. Maybe they can cause an upset. They can get a 3-gate. I think the only one is Vitality who can beat them in a best of 5.
Yeah, I mean.
Would you put another team in that category?
Think about the other teams. So Koi and Mad look like absolute shit.
Yeah.
You have Astralis, BDS, which are they're the teams that place top 2, but like who are you really going to take either
possibly
of them?
Fraudulent as top 2, of course. Yeah.
SK has had a worse split. Like who else can you even put there? Like you literally can't put anyone there. It has to be Vitality. The only hope is Vitality.
Yeah, it's basically just you have to be a massive believer in SK to turn it around, or that BDS is for real. That's it, right? They're the only two sort of scenarios that make them capable of winning.
It's tough. It's weird because it feels like a lot of teams are simultaneously underperforming right now in Europe. Like, you would expect Koi to still be pretty good. Like, people had them winning the split or being top 2 guaranteed because you keep so much of their roster. Then you just watch the play. They look like shit. Mad, who, had a pretty good winter split, all things considered. Like, you want to see them build on that. Maybe they become stronger. Like, that's a good finish. They develop momentum. They end up playing better in spring. They've fallen off. Vitality has these games where they just look absolutely awful. And then the other two teams that are looking reasonable are like BDS and Astralis. It's very hard to feel like any of the second teams are legitimately good. I mean, G2 look like they're legit good. Like they would be one of the teams that you could see taking a series or taking like games off top tier teams because of the way that they play. They have like a unique play style. I can't imagine Vitality beating any of the top teams in the world right now. Like even if JDG played a bad game, like played one of their shit games that they just played against BLG, would Vitality actually win that game? That's what I think. And unless they were having just a game where Bo's just getting super far ahead, the bot lane's winning and everything, one of those dream games, I just think it's very hard for them to win.
The hope for me with Vitality is this. It's not that when they joined the league, guys, I thought from day one they'll be the best and never lose a game. It's that, remember, this is the first split that they've had upset in the lineup. Already things look more positive. To me, they just have to level up each phase of LEC. So best of ones, they were pretty good. Couple of flaws. If they get better in best of 3, if there's still time to arrive at the playoffs, and by the time you get to the finals, it'll be better. So that's the hope for me with Vitality, is if they level up to like max power. If they get to the top level, like the lineup's mega on paper, it has to all work, doesn't it? I would say they've sort of had half their games looked really good, and then half were like good to a point, but then like had a failure, or someone just got outplayed by the other team. Sometimes that happened a couple of times in the big matches. So I think it's plausible. The only thing is though, on the Vitality tip, I do also have concerns that, like, let me think how to say this. Basically, I actually want to know how they are going to resolve the obvious problem of having all those good players. Like, at some point in time, they also do have to, you have to sort of eventually get a bit cynical and choose your identity, like who you're actually going to play through and who you're going to draft towards, right, Dom? Because at the moment, they can do it, because you can do anything. I mean, in theory, it has to eventually just be like fucking go through upset or whatever, but
yeah.
At the moment, they've been trying to play the game, I feel like, as well, Dom, when he just came in the lineup, because you normally do that when you have the rep that you're supposed to be the arrogant guy who wants all the resources, you have to almost like go, no, you take a top lane carry, Photon, have one. I love helping my team. But the point is, when it comes down to brass tacks, eventually you have to fucking do the most obvious setup of the team, right? And if they play through upsets, it's the best chance to win. Yeah,
I mean, it's just also like my theory on the game right now. Like they nerfed dragons slightly. They took like 1% off, or they nerfed it by like, I guess 10% is what they nerfed all the dragons by. It's just the best way to play the game. Play through bot. Soul is still mega OP. Stacking Drakes is still mega OP. Like the game is just better played through bot right now than it is than it is when you try to play through anything else. So for me, it's not even so much about like, oh, like, is it because we have upset that we need to play through bot? It's no, just you watch like every fucking good team. Everyone plays through bot. You can play top lane carries, but you don't play hard for them throughout the game.
Yes.
Maybe you give them one gank to get them ahead. Maybe you like play around them at a certain time to like burn an ult before Rift Herald. Like it doesn't mean you can never go top. It's just the majority of the time you're playing with your bot lane. You're making sure your bot lane is stable. You're covering them from dives. You're getting vision around bot lane so you can contest dragons. That's just the way that all the teams play in the world. I mean, you look at T1, they're considered the best team in the world right now. What do? They have Faker play champions that roam well. They have junglers that are good early game. They play winning bot lanes. They stack waves and go bot as 4. that's just the identity of winning teams right now. And the game is set up like that. If the game changes, sure, you could change, but most people play the game the same way for a reason. It's not because bot laners are just like too whiny and they just ask for ganks all the time. It's because that's just the way the game is set up. People knew over time, ever since Soul came in, ever since Dragon Soul became super OP, you can't really cross map, you can't play hard for split. Even if you are winning split, you're going to have to go and join the team fight at some point. You win split in order to be first to the team fight, maybe get a TP advantage one time, then the next time you actually win a team fight. You don't play split to actually take the turret in front of somebody like in the old days where it'd be like, oh, I'm just taking this turret and that turret, and oh, they can't, like the Shen just can't contain the Fiora. The Fiora's taking the whole turret in front of him. It's just not League anymore. Like the game is just centered around Drake, which means that bot lane is OP.
Plus, if anyone's watched any of the other regions in the world, that's the option that Vitality has that a lot of the other teams don't, which is that at any moment, no matter what trouble they're in a series, you can just get a draft around Azeri and just have the fucking ADC hard carry the game. Like, it's happening in all the major regions with all the stud AD carries, fucking Ruler, fucking Viper. You just put one of these guys on the wrong draft like that. That's the problem with having a really good ADC playing against you. So it also makes it tricky, I think, to draft against Vitality. Like, obviously, you don't know their identity necessarily, but there's certain things you just can't give up at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that you look at with Vitality where you're like, he doesn't really like Upset has played Draven before, but he's not really a Draven player.
He's not that type of player. I think he's, by the way, for me, you know, when we had Neon on that episode and Neon explained why he doesn't play it, that's way more Upset's way of thinking. It's like he agrees the champion's OP, but it's like you don't want to be on the game where you don't get the kills and you get ganked early. Like that's such a shit game, innit? So I know a lot of the like most traditional ADCs don't like the champion, mate.
Yeah, he'd much rather play something where he feels like he's ahead. It's the same reason he always prioritizes Lucian really highly, because on Lucian, you're generally ahead of the pace of the game. You have first strike, so you have more gold than them. When you take the inspiration tree, that also means you get free boots, so you get magical footwear, which is also free gold. So you always are kind of ahead of the other AD carry, and then you just have like very defined spikes where you can pressure them, and he wants to play the game systematically. He doesn't want to like get into a 3v3 or like have the game be predicated on if your team can dive well. Like, is Kaiser gonna play this bot dive well? Let's see. Oh, he didn't. I guess we lose the whole fucking thing. He doesn't want to be that guy. So there are certain things that Upset doesn't play, but he plays a lot of the stuff that other teams don't play well as well. So I think on the other side of things, he's one of the AD carries that can actually play Caitlyn in the lane.
For sure.
That's huge. Like, so if you have the Zeri, you have the Caitlyn, then you can also play, you know, whatever standard AD you need. If you need an Upset Xayah, no problem. You want to go Xayah Rakan? Sure. Like any day of the week. You want to play Aphelios? Okay, Thresh Aphelios. Like we'll get him on that. I think that he plays enough that he has an advantage. But yeah, I mean, that's part of what makes the eventual, what everyone's hoping for, the G2 Vitality matchup so hype, is that they are different. There are different strengths to what these teams do. Like, Hansama is very much the guy who wants to shit on you in lane, and he's got like a better support, right? So if you have Mickey X, you're more confident in just diving, cashing in the Draven, and, you know, just carrying the game from there. It's more just his playstyle. Like, they want to play the Kalista, Draven, that type of stuff. And then, you know, on the other side of things, Upset wants to play all the strong meta ADs. He wants to play Zeri, he wants to play Xayah, he wants to play, you know, Caitlyn in good lanes, and Zeri when it's up, everything.
By the way, we never addressed this before, but let's do it now since he actually doesn't play in LEC anymore. How awkward in context has that episode last year with Neon become? Because if you go back, guys, I'm not joking. We not only both are like, it's fucking bullshit, Tommy. You should be on a way better team. But I think when we figured out all the teams, we're even like, it's Vitality. They're the one logically that should recruit him. Because I think when we figured it out, you know, at the time, like, you wouldn't take Upset off a night. If you did like the math sort of like, it was just going to be probably like, bearing in mind, like we thought G2 maybe wasn't available. Yeah, it was going to have to be one of these teams. So the joke is he got exactly what we wanted, but then it just went so bad. Like, no, that's the thing. I'm not even joking. I could never have conceived of how badly that went. I even kept thinking, dude, the last split, he was going to turn around at some point. I kept thinking, like, surely, you know, they sort of figure it out or they band-aid it or something. It just never fixes that. It's just really awkward, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's super awkward, especially if you just like go and you look at like his Twitter. Because I remember after like the first game they won it, he's like tweeted out, "This is gonna be the best year of my life," and I was like, "Oh, the best year!" Like 2 months later, he's like, "I underperformed, and I'm sorry for it. I'm going to take this time to work on my skills, hone them, and hopefully return to the LEC someday." Like, fuck, bro, it hurt. It hurts so much looking back at it.
I'm gonna have to look that up. That's so bad. Like this. Okay, what, guys? This is looking like the best year of my life.
Yeah.
Please, no, please. That's so rough. And also, the worst thing is, he's in a good example. It's worse than, I think what's happened to Neon is worse than what happened to the XL players, Dom. Because here's what's mad. Because XL collectively was so bad, it sort of means that we all do still think, surely Vethio will come back, even like fucking, maybe even, let's be real, like even fucking Cersei will probably be half decent on another team eventually. But the joke is, I actually think the way that Neon was bad, and then the fact that Upset replaced him will look so much better, I think people are going to do that thing for real, where in their minds, Neon doesn't exist anymore for LEC. Like, I think, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get back in. It's sad, because I don't think, surely he can't be thrown away completely. Like, it's not even just that one split, dude. You could go back when he was in Schalke and SK. Like, he had good games. Like, he's not a bad player, but I just think it just looked so bad that people, unfortunately, like, that's going to be burned into their brain in a way.
Yeah, I mean, there's almost nothing. Like, sometimes somebody will look bad, but it'll be bad because they're limited. They won't be just good at all aspects of something, but they'll have like some way to get past where you're like, all right, maybe it wasn't his meta or something. He looked bad on everything. Even the champions he was good on in previous splits, he still looked bad on. So like, even when they tried to band-aid, and it's like, all right, fuck it. Like, you'll just play like Sivir. Like, yeah, you just play like a Sivir versus Zeri game. He looked bad on that. They gave him the Zeri. He looked bad on that. Oh, we could play pressure with Kaylin. He looked bad on that. He just looked bad on everything, kind of. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't do him any favors that Kaiser inted, but there was just so many individual mistakes that's tough. So I feel like, I mean, it sucks to say, but he's going to have to go like the Crowdy or like the Kabi route. Yes. One of those routes where it's like,
it's going to be hard work, mate, to get back, for sure. You're going to have to be on a bad team and sort of look way better than everyone else.
It's crazy that 1 month, literally, I mean, that was 1 month, right? It's like fucking 5 weeks. Like, so 5 weeks undid like years of good work. That's insane.
Oh, it's wild, isn't it? Oh,
fuck, it was us. We ruined his career. We're like, he deserves a better team.
I know.
And then, like, he got a better team, and it's like, oh shit, maybe he should have just stayed on like Heretics or something. Like, if he was on Heretics instead of like Jack Spectra, people would not be flaming. They'd be like, yeah, bro, like Evie and Ruby, what could he do? You know, like, it was also that type of thing.
You've talked about before, but I do actually I've made this point many times with coaches, but I do think there is a psychological thing. Like, it's a very different to be the big fish in a small pond or to be the small fish in a big pond. Like, there's such a big difference between being far and away the best player on like a bottom half LEC team, and he wasn't even that, obviously he had Vethio, but he was like the second best player, or being like trying to be part of a top team that's just trying to win the league. Like, the clearly that difference isn't just you get better teammates. Like, the expectations are different. What you can demand, how you even conceive of yourself in the game can be very different. So I do feel like he seems like he's suffered from that. I'll also throw this in, even though it'd be way too reductive to act like all the games that the Misfits lineup won with the ones with Yuumi. I will say Mercer did play Yuumi every time it was fucking up. So I will just throw this out there. To be fair, since they were always winning in team fights, it was a Yuumi on top of Neon, on top of Vethio. That's essentially like you've just boosted the stats of the fucking carry anyway. So I will say, when you don't have that, you're going to look worse. Like, that's like the carry on steroids at that point in time, late game Yuumi on like a fucking Akali or Sivir or something. You're going to shit on everyone, of course.
Yeah. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.